On today's episode of The Angle Show, we're going to be talking about some massive stories surrounding WWE and AEW, and I promise you it's going to get spicy. That's right, Tony Khan is going off on Triple H because of Triple H's remarks in Cody's documentary referring to AEW as a secondary product, secondary promotion. While speaking with the Orlando Sentinel, AEW president Tony Khan responded to Triple H's comments and brought up the All In show. He says, "We certainly won't be the secondary promotion at All In." He said, "We're number one in the UK on TV and with a record gate. I have a lot of respect for Cody, and I know these weren't his words to be fair, but we're not secondary in a lot of markets. For the first time in a long time, WWE has been secondary in a lot of markets. I'm proud of where we are at, and we're not taking a backseat to anybody." Tony Khan obviously disappointed, bothered, frustrated over the comments of Triple H. But to be honest with you, this is not me defending Triple H or defending WWE. The reality is AEW is the secondary promotion. They are. And I don't know why people are looking at that like a bad thing. It is the strangest thing that I see. And I don't know why Tony Khan's making it look like the bad thing. At the end of the day, it is true. Now, Tony Khan is going to talk about All In. I have been under the impression the reason why AEW hasn't announced matches for All In is simply because they want the record gate to be able to, marketing and PR and all that stuff. Hey, we did it all. We sold the most amount of tickets ever. And look, they did it all without announcing a match. At the end of the day, look, AEW Collision is on fire right now. That seems to be the only product I genuinely enjoy watching from AEW. I think Collision is a very, very good product. I think Dynamite is okay. I think Rampage is pretty much useless. And if you're asking me about ROH, I also think that is useless. I don't think there's any good that is coming from that. And at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. But I can also sit here and tell you guys that AEW is doing a very good job. And there is nothing wrong with AEW doing a very good job as the second largest company. Now, the reality is this. Tony Khan came into this business with a shit ton of money, with a ton of people who want to change the industry, and that is exactly what they did. Now, WWE has obviously had a head start against AEW. And again, I don't know why people are getting so up in arms about this. WWE is the primary promotion. We all know this. That is the reason why Tony Khan... See, the thing is, Tony Khan, when they announced AEW, they're the alternative. They're the alternative. The alternative will never be better than the primary option in terms of business success. AEW has a long ways away to go, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think AEW is doing a fine job the way they are. I wouldn't even focus on WWE right now. Don't focus on WWE. Don't focus on Triple H. Don't focus on any of that stuff. Just focus on your product because you're doing a great job. Right now, 2023 has been completely opposite of what 2022 has been. 2022, I honestly believed AEW, they were sinking fast. Not because of financials or business, but because they're creative. And now it seems like they're doing some really good shit. So at the end of the day, there's no harm in being the secondary promotion. And yes, it's a very, very awesome accomplishment for All In to be selling the way that it is. But ultimately, I don't really care about All In if you're not giving me the stories to care about. And I just feel like that's what AEW needs to do to improve those things. But the good news is AEW re-signed the Elite to multi-year contracts. It was first reported by Sports Illustrated. And look, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Hangman Page, they're all staying in the company for multiple years. And on top of that, the Bucks and Kenny Omega will continue their role as executive vice presidents. I honestly, genuinely don't even know what that means in AEW because to be quite honest with you guys, there's not much that's being said about it. Now, the one thing that's been very interesting to me is how many people are actually bothered by this. Let me just make it very clear, if I haven't made this clear a million times already, AEW without the Elite is dead. They have a great roster. They have some great stuff happening, but AEW without the Elite is dead. I don't really feel like there's somebody who could really debate me on this because I genuinely believe with AEW, the whole company is built after the Elite. And if AEW were to lose the Elite to WWE, it would do very bad things to AEW's business. That's just my opinion. I feel like there is a lot of value in Kenny and the Bucks and Hangman. If they were to jump over to the other side, I think it would have even elevated the amount. It would have increased the chances of more people jumping over, right? Because the EVPs all leaving the company, it would be a very telling story. But at the end of the day, the Elite are staying put in the company. Again, it goes back to what I was saying about being a secondary promotion. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with what Triple H said. I believe there's truth to it. But for once in 20-something years, man, we have a secondary promotion out there that exists with an awesome roster, with some really, really good storylines right now, and a really good fundamental overview of what their audience is looking for. And maybe I'm not necessarily part of their audience, right? I care more about storytelling and the cinema and all that bullshit. Like, I like the theatrics of it. I know AEW fans don't. But at the same time, too, I can admit that they're doing a very good job. And that's why it's really important that they kept the Elite, because the Elite are the forefront of that. Losing Cody was already a big hit. That's when things started to really go downhill. But if they lost the Elite, I think it would have been casket closed. Guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about some WWE news. LA Knight, top merchandise seller in July. Yeah, that in itself is probably not the most massive news, but what's really crazy is he beat out Cody Rhodes, the Usos, Roman Reigns, Stone Cold Steve Austin, NWO, SummerSlam merchandise, Rhea Ripley, John Cena, and Seth Rollins. Very, very interesting stuff for LA Knight, because this guy is basically doing it all without a massive singles storyline, which basically tells you that WWE truly has a star on their hands. And my criticism of WWE not catapulting LA Knight to the top is just, it's always going to remain when I see things like this. LA Knight, #1 merch seller, over Cody, over Stone Cold, over Roman Reigns. We're not talking about some like no-name guys. We're talking about the elite of the elite. So just keep that in mind. LA Knight getting supposed to get a new push after SummerSlam. Will it happen? Well, I guess that depends on Vince McMahon, because if you guys didn't know, Vince McMahon is having some stuff happen right now, and this is just there's just a lot that's going on with this. So there's two parts of the story. Supposedly, according to reports, federal law enforcement agents executed a search warrant, a subpoena on Vince McMahon. There was no charges filed. This is some really interesting stuff. I don't want to get into too many specifics with Vince, because this stuff, you guys know how this is with the Vince McMahon stuff. It just, there's a lot of stuff that's being said. I don't think everybody understands absolutely every detail on it. I don't want to confuse people. But what is very, very interesting is that Nick Khan did in fact confirm, and the WWE did in fact confirm, that Vince McMahon is currently out under a medical hiatus. We know that he had that major surgery. As of late July, he has taken a leave of absence, and he is still the executive chairman in WWE. However, it was confirmed that he is on medical leave, and it is indefinitely. So Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, a lot of people out there working behind the scenes with WWE. Vince McMahon is not one of them. What does this mean for the WWE product? If I'm Triple H, I put the World Heavyweight Championship and the Undisputed Championship on LA Knight right now, starting at this exact moment, because once Vince is fully back at work, you know, obviously Triple H is head of creative, but a lot of things do have to go through Vince as well. You know, once Vince comes back, he probably might change his mind. So at the end of the day, that's what I would do if I were the WWE. What do you guys think? Vince McMahon gone from WWE again. It is indefinitely, but of course, once he is healed up and everything, he'll be back. Good, bad? What do you guys think of today's stories? Let me know.